I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean, man? I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean? She got her own house. She got her own car.
I say good afternoon to Eric Marcus, 2nd District Alderman at this point. And recently got the message, I heard that you're running for mayor of Racine. Can I ask you, is it true or not first?
Well, first, thanks, Ken, for giving me this opportunity to speak. It is absolutely true. I have filed all the papers. All that's left now is submitting the nomination papers. So we've got a team of people, and we're all out trying to get 200 good signatures. They have to be in by Tuesday, April 4th, and then the campaign goes into full swing. Sure. I've lived in Racine for about 7 years. I'm originally from Los Angeles. Lived in Illinois for a while. I have a degree in math, and I also have a law degree, and I'm a licensed attorney in California, and also can practice here for my own business. But I think what's most important is I am really passionate about this city. When I moved to Racine, it was the very first time I ever felt I was at home. I have met so many good people. And the more I got to know the city, the more I saw its potential. And the more I saw its potential not being realized. We don't come together as a community. And I'm not saying we need a melting pot, because we're not all going to be exactly the same. But we need to have communities that work together. We don't get inclusion, we don't get diversity of thought. If you go through and look at all of the city commissions and the city boards, and you look at all the people who are on those, you will find that the fastest growing population in the city of Racine, which is the minority population, is grossly underrepresented. I represent the 4th, 5th, and 6th wards. And if you live in the 4th ward, which is along Racine Street, between 14th and the city limits, you have an awful lot of people who are not only unemployed, but who have given up on city government. They've tried. And city government has never been responsive to them. They have no mentors to look at City Hall to say, well, gee, I can become like that. And so, when we raise a generation of people who don't think government's going to work for them, then we start heading down a road where there isn't any hope. And my goal is to bring leadership to the city that creates diversity and inclusion in government, that has an open door and not just an open door policy.
Right.
We've heard City Hall talk about all kinds of new things they're going to do, and yet if we look at today and we look at 16 months ago, there's virtually no difference.
Okay.
We need to make very serious, aggressive changes in how the city of Racine does business.
I think one of the questions that people might want to ask at this particular time, I guess it's some other candidates outside of yourself, but we are knowledgeable that you are running. But let me ask you, is your style, the style that you consider in your leadership capacity, is it different than the style that we have in the present mayor?
I think it is. My style is one of gathering as many different opinions as possible, but then recognizing that the buck stops here. It's my responsibility to make the final call. But if you don't have enough diversity of opinion, you're not going to have enough choices to be able to make. So I don't think that I have all the answers. I'd like to put things up on the whiteboard and let people take a look at it and say, well, hey, I don't like this, but here's an idea I can build off of. In one of my last jobs, I ran a division of 1,300 employees, and $187 million budget. So that's significantly bigger than the city of Racine. And if you talk to any of the people who worked in that organization, they would tell you that they could always talk to me, that I always had an open mind, that I was always interested in listening to what they had to say, and that frequently they had a significant impact on the results. And that's the way it should be. A leader doesn't have to have all the answers. A leader has to encourage the people to come in and talk about the ideas. The problem I see right now at City Hall just hasn't been any different for a long, long time. And at the end of the day, if you keep doing the same things over and over again, you shouldn't expect any different results.
Okay.
The commitment that I make is we're going to do business differently. Okay? I don't have a 10-year plan. I've got a 90-day plan. I expect to see substantial change in that first 90 days. And that includes memberships on commissions and boards. That includes the structure of City Hall. That includes being truly open to hear what people have to say and to go out and bring them in. Because at this point, they're not coming to City Hall. Because they've come to City Hall before and they haven't gotten anywhere. The whole reason I went and got a law degree was I intended to be what they call a social engineer. I wanted to change the world by being a lawyer. And what I learned is that you can't sue people into doing the right thing. But you can persuade and you can encourage and you can lead people to do the right thing. And that's the commitment that I've put out there, is I'll listen and I'll have an open door and I'll make a call that you can trust. When I give you my word, you can take it to the bank.
Well, okay, one of the items in your press release, you talked about one of the issues that's dear to everybody right now: money, saving money, building up a treasure in the city. Talk about those ideas that you want to bring forward.
The first thing that I think we need to do, and it has to be done in that first 90 days, is we need to take a 1% cut right across the whole city, with the exception of public safety. I don't touch public safety. I think we need a fire department, we need a police department, and we need the other people who work for this city who deliver public safety to us. But across the rest of City Hall, we need to take a 1% belt tightening. And I don't think that's terribly hard. We've seen department managers come into City Hall during the budget process and be able to find $100,000. Okay. Yeah. Does it require a belt tightening? Does it mean we can't do everything this year we want to do? Yeah, it does. But you know what? That's the way it is at my house. If I have to put a new roof on the house, which I had to do, it meant no vacation, and it meant other cutbacks. It meant you don't get to eat out, and our government continues to spend. I don't know about the people who are watching this, but I can tell you that the assessed value of my house went down, and yet the amount of money I've got to write a check for went up. So if my house is worth less, how come I'm paying more for it? And what I've said is, I'm willing to make the same kind of sacrifices I'm asking the departments to make. I will take a 10% pay cut on day one. I will ask the department heads if they'll take a 5% pay cut. I'm not going to order it, but I'm going to ask them if they'll meet me halfway. And then we'll go across the budget and find 1%. The idea of starting at the bottom to try to make cuts just doesn't make any sense. I'll give you an example, Ken. We have 14 people who pick up all the garbage in the whole city of Racine. Okay. You start down at that level, A, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to make any real savings. And two, you're going to put some. You're going to contribute to the unemployment problem, And number three, you're going to get less service. So
Okay.
all the way around, the people of Racine will lose.
Okay.
But you start at the management level, and you start at certain projects that we could delay, and now you start looking at how we can save money. We know that next year we're going to get even less money from the state. So if we don't start right away making reductions, the reductions that we're going to have to make later are going to be much tougher and much deeper. And we have to prevent that from happening to our city.
Am I hearing you say that it might be some fluff still in city government, in some areas that still could be cut even more than they did in the recent budget?
Absolutely. That's exactly what you're hearing. I believe that there is money to be cut in the budget. And you know, what's been said to me in the city council is, well, if it's there, why don't you find it and cut it? Well, you know, let me tell you, here's what happens in the budget process. The mayor brings a budget in, announces he has one, and at 10:30 that night it's in your mailbox. That budget is at its highest level. It doesn't tell me whether Fred in accounting needs a new computer. It doesn't tell me anything about the detail. It tells me total salaries, total travel. Well, you know, no one can seriously make cuts with that kind of high-level budget. You got to bring the department managers in and say, hey, can Fred wait another year on that computer? You know, can we wait a little longer to replace the carpeting in this room? What are the things we can do that will save money? And that comes from a leader in the corner office. That comes from the mayor telling his department heads, I need you to work harder. I need you to sharpen those pencils, as Alderman McCarthy said, and come in with a budget that isn't going to continue to hurt the people of Racine who are already hurting. We saw in the newspaper, in the Journal Times yesterday, that the poverty level in the city of Racine has now reached 17.7%. We hear people talking about unemployment numbers. You know, oh, we've decreased unemployment from, you know, by 5 points. We haven't decreased unemployment at all. You know, there was an old campaign that Mondale ran where he said, where's the beef? Well, my question is, where are the jobs? The Workforce Development Department in Madison released the September numbers and said Racine County lost 600 jobs. Well, if we lost 600 jobs, how come unemployment went down? There's one reason. We only count people as being unemployed if they're receiving unemployment benefits.
Okay.
So as soon as somebody stops receiving benefits, you know, they've lost hope. They can't find a job. They're not getting any more money from unemployment. We don't count them anymore.
So how do you feel about the situation that we have where in many of the city districts you have extremely high unemployment? Do you have any idea of how you as a mayor would tackle the problem of unemployment? Would you do it different, or would you add to what is already happening? How would you go about it?
Well, thanks, John. I think that's a good question. I think government doesn't create jobs, but I think government can foster an environment where people will want to relocate their businesses here. Right now, it can take 4 months to start up a business in this town. I can get the financing and the business plan done faster than that. Yet you go to one of our neighboring villages and you walk into a council meeting and the council president comes up to you and says, welcome to our village, we're glad to do business with you. Now, I'm not saying it's a one-day operation for us, we're a bigger city, but it's got to be faster. We have to fast-track opportunities.